The lovely folks at Oregon State University, there in Bend, Oregon, created the Center for the Teaching and Learning. Okay, a big name in the Society for the Teaching of Psychology, of which I am a member. Moved there from the University of Wisconsin Green Bay. He moved there to be the director of the CTL, and they created this game, Neuromyths and Learning Fallacies, and you're welcome to play at home while I test what we are doing. But let's see. Prediction. Yes. So let's start a prediction. Name the prediction. How many neuromyths will CPP get right? Oh, you have to do... Okay, so how many are there? There are more than 30. So let's say less than 20 and greater than 20, or greater or equal to. So 20 or more. Submission period is going to be 5 minutes. Start the prediction. Confirm prediction. The streamer or mod will need to confirm the outcome within 24 hours of the end of prediction. Once you start the prediction, you cannot change it except to delete or close submissions. This is the first time I've ever done it. So the outcome is selected or the prediction is deleted, channel points will be returned to the participating viewers. Okay. Got it. All right, predictions started. Place your predictions. That's cool. So here are the rules. It's not very hard. See how many cards you can answer correctly. Once you completed the deck, count your correct cards and check on the rubric on the back of this card to see how well you've done. Yeah, and so on the back. 1 to 10, Neuromyth Investigator. 10 to 20. Ooh. 10 to 20, Neuromyth Detective. 20 to 30, Neuromyth Sleuth, but I couldn't put more than just the 2. 30 plus cards, Neuromyth Master. So that's what we're trying to do. They also have a card with a QR code for all of their references. I don't know how well this QR code is going to work for the stream here. It's probably too blurry. Alrighty. So I will show the back has the answers on them, so I don't know if I want to show the answers. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll do this. So the back of the deck is going to be the rubric. So I won't be able to see any correct answers when I show. All right. So the first question. Effort rather than achievement should be commended by teachers. And I'm going to have a true pile and a false pile. I'm going to go with true on that one. So true is going to be my right hand or my left hand. And false is going to be over here on the right. Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. Or should you just correct and incorrect, actually? Yeah, so this one, effort rather than achievement, should be commended by teachers. And the correct answer is true. Commending achievement alone leads students to link intrinsic ability to their success. Commending effort links his success to the amount, quality of effort into something. This helps develop a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset, leading to greater student perseverance and encourages students to undertake more academic risk. Hochul and Hawkhandle and Finnemore, 2015. So I got that one correct. I promise not to cheat. All right, making predictions. One bet for greater than 20. I appreciate the... All right, next one. Student reflection and metacognition tasks should not take up class time. False. False. It's always good for reflection. So I'm going to go with false on that one. What was the correct answer? False. Yes. Research suggests that developing metacognitive ability is beneficial during class and positively impacts student achievement. Teachers should use a variety of strategies to develop metacognition among students and include such activity as part of a regular course planning. Dunlosky and Rawson, 2019. Got that one. All right. Let's, can I add more time? Apparently I cannot add more time. All right. One more minute. One more minute to get your prediction in. All right, next one. Both cognitive and emotional factors ought to be considered to improve learning. That's going to be a true from me. That's going to be a true. Yep. Students learn using connected areas of brains associated with both emotion and cognition. I'm trying not to get the... Addressing emotion, even negative ones, may impact student learning. Ting et al. Tang, 2017. 3 for 3. 3 for 3. Listen. I think this one's going to be Neuromyth Master over here. Rereading notes is the main test preparation skill that teachers should coach. That's going to be a false. This is the one that I'd say all the time. This one's so bad, just rereading. False. Research suggests that active recall methods are more successful for most students, whereas focusing only on reading may give a false sense of understanding. Students' familiarity with terms doesn't imply understanding of materials. Addissoap et al. 2017. This one's super, super, super important. Do not just reread your notes. Do not reread them. And when there's a review session, put your notes away. Put them away. Because then, when I start talking about things that are part of the material, and you're like, wait a minute, where was that? That's not where your mind is. Yeah, my ring is black. It's because it's reflecting, isn't that weird? It's reflecting in my glasses. And my glasses have anti-glare coating, which is green. And so when it gets reflected back into the camera, the green screen is trying to give it the background. My background. Isn't that cool? Next one. Teachers should actively coach students to use self-testing for test preparation. Students should actively coach students to use self-testing for test preparation. I'm going to go with true on that one. Yeah, research suggests that active recall methods such as self-testing are more successful for students compared to rereading notes. Addissoap 2017. Again. Oh, my, my wedding ring. It's just a piece of silicone. Silicone ring. So it's stretchy. my wedding ring was getting small for my finger. Because it's more than 11 years old now. And I was training in Krav Maga. And I was wearing my ring, and it was starting to chew up my hand. So you get this to be more pleasant. I've also got my punching bag over there that I haven't used in a long time, which I do want to get back into. So, yeah. But it's nice. It also matches my watch and my glasses. Krav Maga is so cool. Very deadly. I have a blue belt in it. And I would love to get back into it eventually. When the pandemic is done. All right. Next one. Helping students develop executive functioning improves learning and benefits all students, even strong ones. That's totally true. Looks like Mean Machine's going to get his $10 back. Well, 10 points. That one's true. The ability to plan, execute, and adjust tasks, monitoring processes, and determining an endpoint are all examples of executive functioning. These skills are universally beneficial. Our brain continues to develop into the mid-20s, indicating ability for potential student improvement through neuroplasticity. Tyler, 2018. All right. Next one. Teachers should consider factors such as stress, fear, and fatigue in class planning and working with students. Of course. That's true. Research suggests that stress, fear, and fatigue inhibit learning due to their effects on the brain. Simply covering material without accounting for these factors will not guarantee learning because emotion and cognition are highly linked in the brain. Vogel and Schwab, 2016. Yeah, that's why it's been so tough over the last year and a half to actually do anything. This is why yesterday at our graduation for students, we specifically mentioned that they were able to graduate and persevere through their last year and a half. Yeah. It's really important to highlight that. And why it's been such a struggle and why many teachers were beside themselves because, we got to get through the material, though. I got to deliver a program for you. And it's just like, do you really have to? So, not incorporating how stress, fear, and fatigue are going to impact how you do the class, you're going to end up with a bad time. You're going to end up with students who are like, I'm not really able to focus. I'm not being able to do anything. And so I told my students, take mental health days. Take time off for and take time off for feeling better, like getting your life back together, especially if COVID has ravaged your family, ravaged your life. You lost your job, or you lost somebody you love, or you're immunocompromised, or whatever. Just take the time you need for yourself so you can do the coursework, because there are going to be some instructors who don't have it as rough and won't feel it as rough. And they'll put up the same rigor as they did pre-pandemic wise, and that's not necessarily a good idea, in my opinion. So yeah, incorporate those things into your teaching, incorporate those things into your learning, and I think my students felt better about it. I mean, I've gotten a couple of comments from students saying like, "Thank you for saying that this semester, this year, or whatever." So, you know, those are the kinds of words I want. People saying to me, "Hey, I liked what you said. Thank you. I've incorporated that change in my life. I appreciate that." And you know, sometimes I gotta practice what I preach too. All right, next one. Encouraging students to have a growth mindset on their own is an effective way for them develop a growth mindset. I'm going to go with false on this one. I think you have to help them. Yeah. Research indicates that guided training and intervention are the best ways to change student mindsets. Having students link strategies they can control to academic success rather than inherent ability is key to developing a growth mindset, as opposed to simply putting up posters or encouraging a positive outlook. Yeager et al. 2019. Wow. I'm batting 1,000 here on this. This is great. I like this. Students... next one. Students' learning can be optimized by matching learning type. This one's false. There is no evidence to suggest there are learning types or learning styles. Labels such as auditory learner can be harmful to students by leading them to believe they can only learn one way. Neuroplasticity suggests strength and weakness change over time. Teachers should use a variety of learning style methods based on content they are teaching. We are all the kinds of learning styles that people have said. We are visual learners. We are auditory learners. We are kinesthetic learners. We are, I don't know, gustatory learners. I don't know, learning by tasting. We are all of those. We are all of them. There is no such thing as learning styles or learning types. We all learn things visually. We all learn things auditorily, which are verbally, which are the two main forms of teaching. Two main forms. So when you say, "Oh, I'm a kinesthetic learner," I got to touch it. Yep, your eyes work though, right? Your ears work. Now, that is not to say that you do not have a preference. You could prefer to learn things verbally. That's great. Doesn't mean you won't learn things visually. You could prefer hands-on learning because you call yourself kinesthetic learner. You can prefer that. Doesn't mean you won't learn by hearing it or seeing it. Maybe you'll learn it slightly better, but there's another thing that's working other than you just touching it. There's other things at play if you're learning things hands-on versus just looking at them or listening about them or hearing about them. There are other things at play than just your preference for touching things. That's the neuromyth right there. That's the one neuromyth that won't die. And the reason why it won't die is because it keeps getting taught by teachers who are training teachers in education programs. Tell them that what they're doing is teaching bad science, pseudoscience. Tell them they're teaching pseudoscience, and you will start seeing it drop away. But then again, you're trying to tell other teachers that what they're teaching is wrong, and it takes a lot of effort to change up what you're doing. And if you are a long-time teacher of teachers, an education professor, it takes a lot. Thankfully, at my school, one of the education professors rails against it in educational psychology in the ed psych class that he teaches. Rails against it. And they all have to take it. All of the education majors have to take it. He just completely rails against it, which is great. And I've heard that that it's obviously secondhand information, but I've heard from students that he gives it no quartering in his classes. None whatsoever, which is nice. All right. This one's my favorite. I've done research on this one. Handwriting notes and typing notes in class are equally effective. You know what? I'm gonna go with false on this one. But I knew it was gonna be true. I did want to take the L on this one, and that's the reason why I want to take the L on this one and lose and obviously lose it. I'm gonna go with they are the same. Okay. Oh, they're not the same, actually. I'm going to go with they're not the same. And the reason why I'm going with that they're not the same, which is antithetical to this true back here, the Moorhead et al. 2019 finding, is when I say we, a group of graduate students and I did some research on this back when I was in graduate school, and we got it published in 2014. It's actually my most cited paper for some random reason, but I mean, it's good in educational circles, so why not, right? So, this says true because based on a number of studies testing the superiority of handwriting or laptops, no definite evidence currently exists one way or the other. That is, if you just take it on the face of it, right? If you're just comparing handwriting versus typing. What we studied, and so I'll take that as an L. We studied what mode you take your notes in, either handwriting or by typing, and then testing the congruency of that with the test measure, with the testing medium or mode. So we had incongruent and congruent studying and testing, or note-taking and testing conditions. So you were either note, computer, or you had incongruent note, computer, note, or by hand, really. Did I say that right? By hand, computer by hand, something like that. So there were four different conditions, and we found that when your stuff is congruent, when the mode in which you take your notes is going to be best helped by the mode in which you take your tests. So that is to say that if you're going to be taking a lot of tests by hand, which is primarily the way most tests had been given out pre-pandemic, then you were best served by taking your notes by hand, okay? If you're going to take your test by a computer, then the best strategy is to then take notes via computer for what is called the encoding specificity principle, and specifically context-dependent memory in this case. Now, just the two note-taking mediums, yes, those two do not yield differences. There's a study that'll come up and say handwriting's better. Then there's a study that says you can type more with laptops. And so, of course, this is going to be better because you're faster at typing than you are at writing. And so these competing studies are all saying one thing. It doesn't matter how you take your notes, but it will matter how you're taking your tests. Now, it was just one study. We never replicated it because we didn't have time. We all moved on. I would love to be able to follow it up, to be honest with you. I would love to be able to follow it up and talk about since then. So that same year, a really often cited paper by Mueller and Oppenheimer, graduate student Mueller, I can't remember her first name, and Oppenheimer. Not the nuclear guy Oppenheimer, but another Oppenheimer. They had this really clear-cut finding that handwriting notes was better. Handwriting notes was super better than taking notes by laptop because of generating the information in a, as we saw with the that study, that new brain computer interface that we talked about earlier in the stream. You know, this it's you're a lot of systems are engaged. You're writing, you're doing the thing, and your writing is, your penmanship is basically your own based on, you know, writing, based on the micro movements as they called it. Whereas typing is fairly rote, and yeah, sure, you can type a bunch of stuff, but it's not as good as generating it on your own on a piece of paper. That's what their findings were. And a lot of people cited that, and they followed up. And again, finding different back and forth as Moorhead et al. Said, there's no real good, clear evidence that one way exists. But what I'd like to continue to add to this discussion, you know, eventually, is saying, okay, well, you know, let's leave that as it is, and let's see how that translates then to test taking, and whether or not test taking has any bearing on how you should take your notes. Take your notes how you feel comfortable is what the point is here, but bear in mind how you're going to be tested. Looks like we're probably not going to finish this. Coaching multitasking helps students be more efficient. Coaching, what do you think, Tropical Geek? Good morning. Coaching multitasking helps students be more efficient. I am going, so, all right, let me read that again. Coaching multitasking helps students be more efficient. I'm going to go with false, because multitasking is a bad idea. So, false. Yeah, buddy. Multitasking is generally detrimental to learning. Your brain divides attention where we go back and forth between tasks, and transaction costs of this back and forth leads to less efficiency. Ward et al. 2019. Boom. Time management. You are correct, sir. Yes. The cost of going back and forth is what... So I ask my students every year when I teach cognitive psychology. That's my bread and butter class, so I teach it every year. I ask them, can you multitask? And a good handful of them will say somewhere around 40%. I wouldn't say half, but about 40%. A third to about 40% raise their hands and say they can multitask. And I'm like, oh, okay, so you multitask by what? Reading your textbook and watching Netflix, or studying and, you know, looking at TikToks and whatnot? And they'll invariably say yes to some combination of typical multitasking. And I say, you need to stop doing that, because it's bad. And you can't do it effectively. And then somebody will invariably, and this is my favorite, will say, I don't believe you. And so I'll give them a demo, and I'll say, all right, let me give you a demo then. You ready? I want you to count to 26 and say the letters out loud, and I will time how long it takes you to do that. And, you know, it takes them about 24 seconds or so, right? If I'm saying, you know, say 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, blah, blah. Please go upstairs. I'm almost done. My son's trying to sneak. And then, so I'll time that. And then I'll ask them, okay, now do the alphabet. A, B, and then I'll time how long it takes for you to do that. And they're like, okay. And then I said, and then the last, so, usually takes about 24, 25, 26 seconds. 1 letter per second. Because I don't let them go elemento, right? Elemento. They have to say L-M-N-O-P. Yeah. So both of those combined, both of those separately take about 25 seconds each. Okay. We've okay, go. Thank you.
Bye. I'm not here anymore.
I'm not here. There's John Cena over here. Can't see me. And so then I'll be like, okay, you've got 25 seconds on each. All right. Now interleave them. So when you say 1, say the corresponding letter. When you say 2, corresponding letter. 3, so 1, A, 2, B, 3, C. And I say do that as quickly as possible. And eventually they will mess up around F or G. And I say, well, I guess you can't multitask. And those are both verbal inputs, by the way. Verbal inputs and verbal outputs. They're two different kinds of verbal inputs and outputs, but they generally go together. But you can't multitask because the one thing you have to do is keep tasks switching. You have to go, okay, what's the next number? Well, that's fairly easy. But then what's the next letter? What's the next letter? What's the next number? What's the next letter? What's the next number? What's the next letter? Number. And that takes, so for the people who have been able to complete this task, get all the way to 26 of something. Get all the way to 26 and Z. It has taken them more than a minute. We go from 25 seconds to more than 60. Which is, it's like you cannot multitask. Okay, dogs and Ollie upstairs, please. Go. Upstairs. Murphy, go. Silly doggos. So yeah, you cannot multitask. Adorable. That's a word for it, I suppose. All right. People are dominantly left or right brain, determining whether a person is more creative or logical. This is awful garbage. It is false. Left-right brain dominance is a myth. Multiple areas on both sides of the brain work together in synthesis in all thinking tasks. This is aided by the corpus callosum, which links the sides of the brain. Ooh. Hey, Nilo on Twitch. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, that one's false. That one's a correct one for me. How many have I gotten so far? How many have correct? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 to 1. All boys, all of my boys want love, that's for sure. What's good, Nilo on Twitch? How you doing? All right, next one. Ugh. Lecture, as a form of teaching, is outdated and not an effective pedagogy. I'm going to go with false on that one, because there are ways to use it effectively. Yeah, buddy. Lecture helps build core knowledge, fundamental part of learning. To be effective, lecture... There's missing a comma. To be effective, lecture should be used along with other methods that encourage students to recall information, such as formative assessments and having students use knowledge in novel contexts. Durable and flexible knowledge is the goal of learning. Wow. There we go. You need to listen. All right, next one. What am I doing? Having students focus on memorizing information is an ineffective instructional strategy. Having students focus on memorizing information is an ineffective instructional ineffective. Well, I mean, true. Ineffective. True. Ineffective. No, false. I got it wrong. Oh wow. This is the first one I've actually got wrong. Research shows that robust knowledge stored in long-term memory engages students in higher order thinking tasks. Active memory retains less information for less time than expected. Clem 27. Huh. Got that one wrong. Okay. I can see it. I'll have to look it up. I'm doing okay. I am changing up my stream perspective. I'm changing up all the things. We're doing fun stuff. I am excited for the rest of my Sunday after streaming. And yeah, I'm feeling good. Done with the semester? That's awesome. So yeah, I think I'm doing pretty well. We'll see how the rest of the week goes. I've got some videos coming out on my YouTube. Almost at 1,000 subscribers there, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. I'm thinking June is when I hit the required level for the YouTube partnership program, which is my goal this year. And then we're building the stream from the ground up. Rebuilding the stream from the ground up. You are in the middle of it? No! Are you on quarters? Or did you just start late? Because I know some people, I know some of my colleagues still have like a week of teaching, and then they have finals, and then they'll be done. But yeah, the only kind of structure I know that has you like in the middle of something is quarter systems. I went to grad school on quarter system. Oh, you study in Germany, that's why. That's rough. I'm so sorry. I love Germany though. I want to go back one day. It's so much fun in Berlin. So much fun. But I want to explore Munich. I want to explore Hamburg. Cologne even. I've heard great things about Cologne. Frankfurt. Anyways, I just want to go all around the country. I had visions when I went there in 2013 while I was in graduate school. This is a heavy digression. I had visions. I would just fantasize when we were there. I was there for a conference and we spent a week. It was about a week. Yeah. I was there for a conference, gave a talk on stuff that I hate. In 2013, it was in Berlin at Humboldt University. And I would just daydream about living in Germany. This was pre-kids. I don't know how my wife would have felt about it at the time, but I've never asked. I never asked her. But yeah, I was just like, what would it be like? Because I know a lot of universities there hire English-speaking instructors to teach stuff in English. So I was like, why not? I love German. Language is wonderful. I fell off the boat learning it, though. Because then I was like, maybe I should probably pick up Spanish. And then I fell off that boat, too. So... you were from Hamburg. Nice. Oh man, I would love to go explore these really old cities in Europe. We were gonna make a 2-week trip of it, but we didn't have the funds. We were gonna hop on the train and go to Benelux, like get off at various stops going through Benelux, but we didn't do that, and we just ended up staying the whole week in Berlin. But we went down to Sanssouci, the palace. Nice. Yeah. Anyways, lovely place to visit, but I'm looking forward to finishing your degree and leaving. Fair. How many people live in Hamburg? All right, next one. Humans only use 10% of our brain. I don't know why it says our. I should just say there to make it just third. You went third person, so I don't know why you didn't go third person. But anyways, that one is super false. Super false. We use our brain all of the time. Brain scans confirm, even while sleeping, there's widespread neural activity. Now, this does not need to be said. This should not have to be said. And yet this myth still lives. I have a podcast episode where a neuroscientist friend of mine and colleague just rip on Lucy for about an hour. We just completely destroy Lucy and the whole premise for that movie. Now, that movie made money, and it made Morgan Freeman and Scarlett Johansson some money. And so our podcast, my little podcast episode, isn't really going to do much. But got to get it out there. Got to get the scientists out there. Swap tropical cookie. I'm not entirely sure what you mean. All right. Cisgender men and women's brains are significantly different. Different genders should be taught differently to account for this. So if a word on there is not something that you're familiar with, cis, CIS, means that you identify with the same gender that aligns with your biological sex that you were assigned at birth. So if you got a penis, then you would be considered you and Nilo can swap for a bit. I gotcha. That if you've got a penis, then you will be identified as a male, and if you identify yourself as a man as your gender, then you are cisgender because you are a male and a man. And so here this myth is cisgender men, so males, and cisgender women's, females, are significantly different. And that's different from transgender individuals, transgender people, right? Or just trans people. So there you go. So this is asking the question, or this is making the statement, making the claim that male and female brains are different, and so they should be taught differently. And the answer is false. Despite subtle differences in the brain of cis men and women, there are more similarities than difference. Comparatively, evidence suggests that all genders ought to be taught in the same way. Rippin, 2019. City of Hamburg is of about 2 million people. Okay. It is the second largest city in Germany. Oh, wow. I thought it may have been like the third largest. I thought I would have been... Now, this would have been anchoring bias on my part. But I totally would have thought Frankfurt was larger, or second largest after Berlin. I knew Munich wasn't like top two, probably fourth largest city, I'm going to make a guess. But because so many flights go in and out of Frankfurt, I thought for sure that would be largest, but I guess maybe Frankfurt's the third largest. Sexual Sexuality dimorphic nuclei of the hypothalamus. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the differences. And it's not even that big of a difference. And the size of it is controlled by hormones. So the overabundance of estrogens versus the overabundance of testosterone. Frankfurt is big, somewhere in top 5. Berlin is big. Yeah, I figured that. This is a good one. This next one is a good one. Intelligence is determined by brain size. False. Scientists attribute intelligence to connections between brain areas and efficiency more than they do size. Nave et al. 2018. Boom. Oh, looks like I'm allowing damn here. Thanks, AutoMod. Oh, I gotcha. Sexually dimorphic is what you were trying to say. Gotcha. It's all right. I roll with you on that one. It doesn't like the word. That's why. I had to permit it. Students rate passive learning instruction higher than active learning instruction. I'm gonna go with false on that one. No, they do. What? Students feel they learn more when taught in the passive style, but actively learn more in the active class. Delorier et al. 2019. I think that's, or is it Des Lauriers? I think it's Delorier. Could be wrong on that one. That one's, I got that one wrong. I got that one wrong. Why? That's mean. Okay, well, that's fine. You guys missed the prediction. Either greater than 20 or less than 20. We've got to vote in for greater than. Students generally tend to learn ineffectively. You are not wrong. You are not wrong, Nilo. All right. Exclusively studying key terms leads to higher exam scores. I'm going to go with false on that one. Students who overly focus on one type of studying, such as memorization, without application, or other styles, do worse on exams. Hey, that's the guy who made this. Reagan Gurung. 2005. Got that one right. Booyah. At least a lot of learning methods we do automatically are not very effective. Yeah, and I think the one that I just got wrong, this students rate passive learning, right? This false one, or this true one, sorry, which I thought was false, is probably because of the bias of traditional lectures tends to sit in a status quo in their mind. And so they're more likely to rest on that status quo. Like, oh, that's how I'm being taught in general. And that's how it was taught when I was a kid, you know, especially in high school, this is the way students are taught. And so when you get that active, there's less time being spent on being talked at, right? There's more time doing the stuff. And if you've, that isn't what you've been doing over the course of your instructional life, your learning life, then it'll feel foreign and it'll feel like you have to spend too much time focusing on your own skills as opposed to just like sitting there and listening. And that's hard for people. That's hard for some people to do, is to reorient their mindset into a more active learning. Next one, students who were raised using the internet and computers can find information easily online for assignments without assistance. I wish this were true. I wish this were true. This is false. This is false. False. Students' prior knowledge of subjects is often basic. Research suggests that low prior knowledge impacts the search process. Students need guidance to develop digital literacy. Exposure of and frequent use of the web doesn't develop digital literacy on its own. Miller and Bartlett, 2012. Miller and Bartlett. Huh. That's a correct one, though. And it's very true. This so-called group of digital natives isn't equipped cognitively with dealing with the expanded use of their nativity. It's just ubiquitous to them. And so they feel like whatever aspect of the ubiquity they use is just for efficiency and the sake of using, the ease of use. Whereas millennials, such as myself and Gen Xers, grew up with the computer itself. And so when a computer added a new function, we learned how to use that new function because that new function was really, really important. The incremental changes that the internet has made over the years have been far less important to actually using the computer other than to do more complex work. Right? Your 386 in the mid-1990s was not capable of rendering 4K video. Right? It couldn't possibly do that. There would be no situation where a 386 could do that. It would probably overheat and burn up. Or give you some kind of stop error or something like that. And so-called digital natives, Gen Z, and so on, do not have the same kind of use learning cases as do older individuals that grew up with the computer and used computers before the internet was a thing. Well, before the internet was a consumer thing. I'm not older than the internet. I am older than the World Wide Web, but I am not older than the internet. So, next one. It is better to show a student a worked out problem than to have them figure it out themselves. Ooh, this one's a tough one. So a friend of mine was doing worked examples research when we were in grad school, and I never really followed what he ended up doing with that. I don't think he ended up finishing it. So I'm gonna go with it's better to show a student it's better to show a worked out problem. I'm gonna go with true. Yeah. For new tasks, showing worked out examples leads to better learning. Van Marienboer and Kirschner, 2013. Kirschner. He's been doing learning stuff for a long time. All right. Next one. Students learn new content effectively through problem-based learning. Yes, that's true. They do. False. What? Problem-based learning does not account for working memory limitations when learning new content. Problem-based learning is only shown to be have a positive learning effect on exploring information that the learner already has. Kirschner et al., 2006. There's not more recent research that suggests that problem-based learning is where it's at. That's what I feel like I've learned. All right, well, I got that wrong, so that goes in the wrong pile. All right, here's another one that is going to be resoundingly rejected. Boys naturally perform better at mathematics compared to girls. That is false. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this stereotype here. Gender differences in academic performance are tied to other social, cultural, and economic factors. Research suggests that the gender of pupil is not a good predictor of mathematic performances. Kane and Mertz, 2012. Mertz, sorry. Kane and Mertz. Yeah, that one's a bad one. This one's fun. Our memory doesn't record what we see exactly, and that is true. Due to various types of memory and our ability to process memories, our memories are generally not exact. We fill in the gaps of memories through reconstruction and assimilation. So there's always a level distortion to our actual memories. Searleman, 2012. Woohoo! Oh, so good. So good. I'll take it. All right, I don't think I'm going to get to the rest of these. But let's see how many I got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20.